Charterhouse Public School. A group of young scholars, inspired by the ambitious compositions of Procol Harum and King Crimson, embraced this new, mature pop music as a way of dodging the professions for which they'd been groomed.
We found it a bit of a tag over us, you know, public school boys. What are they doing? You know, what do they know about music? Where's their pain, sort of thing?
We were in a school that was designing kind of to people go out to go into the sort of civil service. You know, you often talk about sort of getting into music being an escape from kind of poverty and stuff, which perhaps it was for a certain kind of people back in the late 50s and early 60s and stuff. For us, it was a kind of an escape from a totally sort of predetermined career choice, if you like.
I was banned from playing the guitar at my entire time at Charterhouse. I don't quite know why. I think they saw the guitar as a symbol of the revolution. And I was going to start it off in my house with my guitar, so I was always, you know, under the thumb of my housemaster for that reason.
They wanted to be songwriters, but bands were now playing their own material, so they formed their own band, called it Genesis, and did what every other group now seemed to be doing: retreated to the country to get their heads together.
There was a phrase, getting together in the country, man. I mean, but actually I think being removed from the business was actually really quite important for us. The time at Christmas Cottage was when we first sort of became a band and started writing, I think, with our own sound.
It's what came naturally to us, really. We were kind of embedded in sort of English and also European sort of classical traditions as well, but also in terms of, you know, I think a lot of the lyrical stuff we would take from English things. We were influenced by sort of T.S. Eliot and fairy stories and stuff like that.
People forget there weren't that many bands in those days. You know, it was like a blank canvas. So as long as you were half decent and had a bit of a sound and were good live, you had a bit of a chance as a career, you know.
We like audiences that sit down and listen to the music rather than get drunk and pick up girls. And we like audiences that sit down and listen.
While Genesis focused on songwriting, other bands were mastering their instruments and finding new ones. Technical virtuosity was fast becoming the essential protein in progressive rock's DNA.
I just don't believe that a drummer should just keep time. Because if you want time, you know, buy a metronome, you know, don't come and speak to me, you know. I think music, you make it for yourself. If the chap next door likes it, isn't that fantastic?
I do think self-indulgence is a good thing in art, because if you're trying to please other people all the time, you just stick to the same model all the time. And nobody hears anything new, so nobody expects anything new. It's like that.
You play a note and you project it out. Even if it's one note, you can either go dong, dong. It's more than just playing the instrument.
It's not cool these days to play your instrument. You know, it's the jangly guitar music. It's jangly. That's what you do. But to actually play a solo, something nice, something that speaks, something that gives you a little kind of emotion, or a little buzz, or makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck. I don't think that's not cool. That's not part of this age.
But this was the dawning of the age of the highly accomplished player, the name musician. In 1970, Crimson man Greg Lake, plus Nice man Keith Emerson, plus Crazy World man Carl Palmer, equalled bass, keyboards and drums, equalled prog rock's first supergroup, equalled ELP.
We weren't a rock band, we weren't a blues band. Emerson, Lake and Palmer was a kind of, was a European group that played classical adaptations. Yes, we could rock out, but we didn't hang our hat on being a rock band. In actual fact, it really was a thoroughbred musical statement we were making. You need the playing expertise so your colleagues know that you are the bee's knees, but just give them some entertainment as well, and that's what it's all about. That's my philosophy. call it show business, actually. Somebody jumping over their organ or sticking in knives to hold down a fifth or a fourth chord, musically is valid. Visually, it's right on it, and it is rock and roll.
ELP's technical expertise and crowd-pleasing antics elevated musicianship and ticket sales to new heights. Progressive rock popped its head out of the underground and glimpsed not only show business, but big business. Progressive rock wizard Rick Wakeman was amazed when he first saw what Yes were now up to with their psychedelic guitarist Steve Howe.
Everything that happened in the 70s, this is it, was to do with psychedelia, you see. Psychedelia may have quit, you know, as a fashion in 1968, but when I had joined Yes, I was still a psychedelic guitarist in my mind. I would not play blues cliches for love nor money.
I was just bowled over because everything was wrong. Bill Bruford had the most incredible, unusual tuning of the kit, and they'd mic'd it up. Nobody mic'd it up then, and it was the most fantastic drum sound I'd ever heard.
There were funk elements, there were classical elements. You know, there'd be a freeze section or some sort of psychedelic vamp or a funk thing, because we like Sly and the Family Stone, so we need some of that.
Chris Squire, most bass players tried to get as low as they could to make your trousers flap. Chris wiped out all the middle and had all the treble turned up and used a Rickenbacker where everybody else was using Fenders. Thought, that's outrageous. And then Steve Howe, when everybody else was using like big stacks of everything, had a little Fender Twin, you know, and had a Gibson semi-acoustic.
I played any kind of guitar that you could think of that I liked. So I went on to mandolin, steel, and all the kinds of, you know, 6, 12, Spanish.
What? What's going on? And then, of course, at those times, every lead singer was 6'6", long, greasy black hair. You could smell them from the back row. And on comes this little fella who's got an alto voice.
Wakeman wanted in. But when he got the call, it wasn't an easy decision.
On the same day that Yes asked me to join, David Bowie asked me to form Spiders from Mars with Mick Ronson, which was, when I look back, I mean, that's one hell of a choice.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come.
Progressive music wasn't the only gig in town. Top of the Pops, regarded as a total sellout by any self-respecting prog rocker, was by now home to artists like Bowie, Roxy Music and T-Rex, bands still making singles hits, and girls dance. For Robert Wyatt, the Soft Machine party was all but over. The band had matured into a jazz fusion quartet with little sympathy for his pop sensibilities. Goodbye the UFO Club. Hallowed the Albert Hall.
You know, very respected and so on, but nobody was dancing anymore, and I sort of thought, oh, you know, I never really quite made it as a proper pop musician. We thought we were a pop band. It's just that, yeah, I always try to make normal records, they just don't come out like that. We could have made a really good pop LP and, you know, been in the charts and be in those films about the 60s. And we blew it.
Wyatt was eventually sacked from his own group.
I mean, I resented it for a while, you know, and when I got cross, I think, Harris did. feel about Soft Machine a bit where Palestinians feel about Jerusalem, you know, I think. This one was mine.
Without Wyatt, Soft Machine moved into purely instrumental compositions, avoiding the problems of lyrics. My Baby Done Left Me never did work with complex musical structures. This music didn't want the blues, it needed fantasy and myth. Cupid meets Psyche, not boy meets girl.